Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Always interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know if you're new to this channel, I like to dive deep within the readings. So take more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play out as karmic themes to help you understand why your person's doing what they're doing. Why are you attracting that person? Why are they triggering the shit out of you and how can you make it stop? Really, that's what it is. I mean, karmic relationships are difficult, and all relationships are karmic. Whether you want to say it's a twin flame, a soulmate, past life, it's just the past life karmic mates are ones that come in to your life and you knew that person in a previous life. See, we live many, many lives. And the reason why we live many lives is we wouldn't know that we were separate from God. We have to put ourselves in every single situation to become all knowing. God knows what it feels like to suffer. God also knows what it feels like to be glorious, to be passionate. Really, the energy of God is passion. So souls mate a lot of times confuse the passion with more of a lust instead of a stirring of the soul, something that feeds the soul and gives it energy. That's why when you feel that love, you get that little pep in your step, you got a little smile on your face. There's an intuitive knowing, but then there's the flip side, because all relationships are paradoxal because we as individuals are paradoxal. We have an ego part of self, and then there's a God part of self, and that's the spirit part of self. And the spirit part of self is all knowing, and it's of the creative realm, it's of the imagination, the intuitive, the right brain, the yin, the goddess energy, if you will, opposed to the masculine energy, which is strong, it's grounded, it's structured, a little bit boring, and but actually they're the actually bones of the earth that can make the earth move because they're good with the physical elements of the physical world. So a lot of times we get hooked up with people that have different spiritual blocks, the opposite of ours, either yin or yang, but we also attract the same people that have those different blocks, have the same spiritual lessons because they grew up in a similar environment. Their survival mechanisms were different. So we have to always go back into the inner child to understand, where did these wounds come from? Why were we born into a family that had this particular ancestral karma? Like, it's for your spiritual hygiene. It's actually for your spiritual growth. It's spiritual nutrition that every person should have, whether you're a Scorpio, a Virgo, a Gemini, a Libra, or and such. It doesn't matter. It's like because we all have these wounds. These readings are intended for Virgo, but anyone that lands on them could possibly resonate because you're a magnet of who and what needs to come into your life. And we're not in charge of who that is. We a lot of times form judgments of what they are, and that keeps another layer of blockage. So just to help you explain, every now and again, I like to just explain a little bit about this channel because I know that this channel is different. And I know I channel a lot. Cards are just a tool. I wanted to make an oracle system. And not really even for the right reasons, I have to say. I was more at that time trying to like emulate other spiritual people. And so I did create a shadow deck that's different. However, even though I created it, I didn't work with it. And so when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Spirit always brings us something that helps us grow, that gives us clues. So here I am using it on YouTube. All right. So The underlining energy. By the way, if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you gotta like the video, subscribe to the channel, write the word of the video in your comment bar. Know that you will be chosen if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word of the video in your comment bar. Then we'll email each other back and forth, figure out best day and time, understand all readings are done live. Now you can make your reading private by asking me your questions. I don't have a problem with that beforehand. And then you can just sit there and listen. You pretty much would probably know your reading a little bit beforehand, sometimes if I have the time. But if I don't have the time, then you'll just can sit and listen. And then if there's something that I didn't answer, you could always reach out to me in an email, because I do understand that when we're talking about trauma and we're talking about, these serious spiritual blocks that a lot of times come out in adultery, they come out in betrayal, they come out in victimization, and there's so much pain, there's so much hurt. And we're a society that pretends that that energy isn't there. And that energy is actually what's obstructing the planet. It's what's making the planet. Like it's a spiritual issue, what's happening on the planet. And that's again, we don't have good spiritual hygiene. We don't know how to heal. So we begin to live more from a survival perspective, from a lower perspective. And that is what blocks us from obtaining love and anything that's in alignment with love. So that would be success, it would be abundance, and it's because we've abandoned ourselves, and that's really what it is. So Spirit says, "Shut up. Say the word of the video." Okay, it's inferiority. That is the word of the video. So that is the underlining energy. So you're dealing with a person that I feel like is inferior right now, and they're actually in a place of manic. And they're feeling very bipolar. So again, they're really spiritually out of balance. And that happens when we're surrounded and we're living in an environment that feels not safe. So again, these are the underlining energies. So again, manic energy, we could see there's bipolar, narcissist. These energies are really of a lower vibration. So again, I feel like someone is like in this kind of spiritual battle right now that you're connected to. So you're not really like seeing this person, you're not, but there's a knowing and there's a higher consciousness, and it's because unconditional love transcends time and space. And unconditional love a lot of times isn't beautiful. It's the exact opposite of what is beautiful. So you have a wound that again of these energies as well, of not being loved. And so this is the underlining energy. And that happens when we have spiritual blocks from childhood. And so, again, we were never taught who we truly were. We have to always come from a true sense of self, which is you are love, I am love. We are the highest consciousness. We are born of that. That's the energy of the planet. That's the energy of the stars and the moon and everything that is inside of us. So, being taught in an environment where you're not good enough, there's something wrong with you, that you're made to feel that there's something wrong, that you're always at fault, you're always the victim. And so betrayal keeps playing out within the person's life. So the energy is really dark and it's really heavy and it's really scary. And unfortunately, most people that are in this energy are not emotionally intelligent. So there's a lot of avoidance, and that's through like alcoholism, it's through like, drugs, it's through anything that will create an escape. And that is where this person is. So there's a spiritual battle going on with this person. So you're not even feeling this person. So, but understand there's still a knowing that you're connected because ESP is through the heart and mind. It's not just through the heart. What you're feeling is that this person's heart isn't there. No, this person's heart is like getting broken open because of what they're going through. Like they're being made to face certain things about themselves and see where we come to places in our life where we have a choice. And that's a choice to whether we're going to break the old karmic patterns that keep us in a place of limitation, pain, hurt, victimization, shame. I don't know if I said victimization, but it's again, that is a constant, a betrayal is always what happens. Person feels that they can't be trusted, but they don't realize that it's their own behaviorisms that are creating those experiences for them. They are not conscious. They're not conscious of how their energy influences other people. And that happens from severe trauma, disassociation. Again, this is heavy energy. So you may resonate because again, detachment, disassociation. It's, yeah, you know what happened, but you don't have a feeling one way or the other about it. So there's a sense of not feeling safe. Not feeling safe in one's body will make a person, again, have too much energy in the head, and that's to try and overthink. So they're not present. And so they again keep on staying in this karmic loop. And so again, it's very heavy energy. So, and I say that because we're probably going to be pulling a lot of like really negative cards. So you want to say, this allows you to put the energy back on that person by saying, wait a minute, these are your wounds. They don't belong to me. I do need to look and see why I attracted you into my life. If we're really going to heal, we have to come from always our true self. So again, I feel like you prevent yourself from, you know, feeling the sadness, like because there's a sense of not wanting to let go to a person that you know is spiritually sick. And there's a comfortability in that energy, especially if you grew up in an environment that was really imbalanced, like you grew up in an alcoholic family, you grew up in like a home that it always seemed like bad things were happening, and it was because of the way the parents thought. And that's really, again, what inferiority is, but that's taught. We're taught. So part of this is ancestral karma. Part of this is collective karma. Part of this is just the world hasn't learned how to spiritually heal. So this is what we see. So we hold on. So it's like you have to like allow yourself to grieve the relationship. And so understand this is where transmutation should happen. And this is where you can step into your true self and realize that you're holding space for what no longer serves. You don't live in that experience anymore. And I only say that because a lot of people say, well, I want to let go. I don't know how to let go. And it's because it's a spiritual thing. It's like you have to integrate the spiritual lesson. Otherwise, we stay blocked in non-acceptance. And so there's a sense of needing to look at your own child self, of understanding what the environment was. And for you, it mirrored what exactly your person lived through. Only you've done healing. This person hasn't. Yes, they created wealth, but they didn't create spiritual knowledge. You created spiritual knowledge. This person would like where you again did not manifest financially. So there are wounds. So again, the same experience perceived, which is how it makes a person feel. So like goes to like, you're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. And I say that because, again, you'll stay stuck in a place of betrayal if I don't explain this energy for whoever this is. And even if it's the person that you're connected to and it's not you, well, it's then you know what you're dealing with. Because trying to change something, staying bound to something that you want them to change, but they're not going to change, keeps you stuck in limitation. And that will just make you attract the same types of energy, which make you perceive like who you think that you are when that's not really who you are. That's a perception of who you are because you were taught in an environment that a lot of times gaslit, there was betrayal, there was victimization, there was sickness, there was fear, like just an underlining fear. And not knowing how to transmute that fear is what keeps ancestral karma stuck. Like, meaning that you just keep passing it on, of attracting the same. So it's time to break the karmic cycle, to recognize the person, but not to just look at the elements that you feel that they could fit into your life, because it's usually those elements that the person betrays that keeps you stuck in a place of victimization. It becomes a karmic like thing where now you're in a place that was the same that you grew up in, that wound that you grew up in, that you never learned how to integrate. So it could be like being with someone that never emotionally gives you anything, makes you feel more like a servant, makes you feel like your words don't matter, that emotionally don't fulfill you. And so it becomes like not a good thing. So that we have to understand like what we're working with. And this person's drowning again, see, like when we don't grieve. And so we have to let go. And so that also a lot of times means we have to let go of people and situations, experiences, and habits that kept us blocked. We have to stay like in a place of being able to be grounded. Because again, the person feels broken. And it's because the same experiences keep happening over and over and over again. And overdid it. Ooh, ooh, I ate too much. Whew. And I have agita. I'm going through my grieving process, and boy, am I eating a lot. Ooh, you never realize how you subconsciously suppress your emotions until you're really forced to look. And that's the thing, it's scary. It takes trust. And most of us don't trust ourselves. So you won't be able to trust other people, especially if you grew up in a place of feeling not good enough. You come really from a survival, a lack, where everything is just an illusion. And it's because you're not present, you're not grounded, you're not. So These are deep wounds. So what happens is the person then projects. But we're mirrors, again, of who and what come into our life and what we need to heal. And it's really about rejection, fear. Because again, if we're coming from a place of feeling inferior from the people that are supposed to love us, we will perceive that everyone then thinks the same because it's within is without. That's the perception. And it's always coming from a place of fear. So right now, I feel like your person is like in the thick of it, and so it's about breaking free. Understand person created survival around people and situations and has attachments. So they don't know who they are, but it's an ego death. And so there's a lot of emotional energy. So this person might be mad at everyone. And like I said, there's always the avoidance with addictions. So this is why you don't feel your person. This is what they're going through. This is a very difficult time. And I think it's more about you looking at your wound. Because this is why it's almost like that trauma bond, that ancestral trauma bond. It's a spiritual test. Organized chaos. Yeah, it can work because you both, you know, like grew up in the same types of environments, so there's a comfortability there. However, there's that detachment because this person has avoidant issues. So you emotionally would never get what you needed. Again, which is again repeating the fact of feeling not loved. And that's really, again, separation from self. That's the biggest spiritual disease that's happening on the planet right now. Moving away from ourselves, moving away from laughter, love, again, joy, passion. But you both have resilience. But it shouldn't be difficult. Love shouldn't be like fight, 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 fight. Like difficult. It should be easy. It should flow like water. And that's the thing that we only until we can become water ourselves can we merge. Otherwise, the water isn't smooth, it becomes choppy. And then it makes it very difficult to manifest. The space. Give yourself the space to find yourself, to love yourself, to grieve those parts of self that attract these types of energy. And because it's not about love. We know that there's love, but there's also love for self and what you know that you're deserving of. And that's not being selfish. Guidance. In times of uncertainty, I ask God to guide me to the light in my being. I am direct to doors that will open inner freedom to me and step forward in trust. I release my fate to God, and my faith is rewarded. So, again, guidance is being able to listen to yourself. And that happens when you really find yourself. Otherwise, we tend to live by our emotions, and our emotions are fleeting. We have to give ourselves time to, you know, dig deep inside of ourselves to be able to understand that that is the higher self, is that God part of self. As I said, we're made up of dust and deity. And so to be able to tap into that deity part of self to feel safe, to heal these deep ancestral wounds. So it's like the most broken become the cornerstone to teach all. And that you may say, well, why? And it's because it's about transmuting that really deep ancestral karma. It's like, it's not about love. Yeah, there's a love because there's an understanding, there's an intuitive, but who wants to stay stuck in that dynamic of not be feeling free? We find ourselves. That's how we're free. And then we connect with people along the way. And then, yes, if you find somebody for all the right reasons that puts you in the best light, that allows you to have every experience. Otherwise, there's just a sense of lack and limitation and getting stuck in the ordain, of every single day of having to go to work and do the same thing instead of finding ourselves also where, yeah, we have to work, but we need time to also continually find ourselves, reinvent ourselves to feel fresh, anew. That's part of spiritual life. And so this is just a story of why are our relationships so difficult right now. It's like what's happening on the planet. It's like on a bigger spiritual level, and two people that do love each other. But why doesn't it work? Well, this is why. From a spiritual perspective, it's a little bit of a different type of reading. So let me know how you guys like this version, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.